It's the
Carmen Ciricillo.
I just ruin this every time.
Okay.
What's going to happen is, and don't show that Dr. Pepper label to anyone until they start
That's for
paying.
me.
Until they start paying us.
Start paying me, Dr. Pepper.
Until this thing takes off, Donnie. Okay, so we're on our 5th year. We figured give it another 5 years. When this thing really hits the big time,
Yeah.
then we'll start being cohesive. Right now, we're scatterbrains.
Okay.
That's all. I don't know what I'm doing. This is like Lou Angelwolf is our 3rd guest maybe on the pod
Okay.
or 2nd.
Second, like real guest.
He's
We've
the
tried
second-
people before. It hasn't come.
Well, we had Bean and Super Bad.
Yep.
Right,
Super Bean and Ultra Bad.
Yeah.
Ryan and Jeremy.
Bean and Super Bad, and then we had Jeff the Booker from the Zoo. I don't know if Lou knows him.
Jeff?
It's their new club in St. Pete.
You ever
I
met
think
Jeff
you're doing
Finesse?
that gig, aren't you?
I did
The Zoo Sports Club.
I haven't seen it yet, no.
Oh, well,
Is it
this
good?
is the I haven't done it either. This is the benefit of being on this pod, networking,
Okay. Well,
huge networking.
I
If you want to do one-nighters
I quit working for Show Faker.
in places that haven't ever done comedy before,
Yeah.
Because we have opportunity.
I've got
You know how it
I
goes,
got
then?
a lot of those under my belt. If you'd like to get into that network,
Yeah.
I just did one last night.
I quit working for Show Faker a while ago.
Oh,
Bob Show Faker.
yeah. Well, you know, it's sad too because you're a staple of the comedy community. When I think of comedians, maybe this is our generation, but I think of you, Steve Eric. I was trying to think of names the
I'm
other
in
day.
that pile. Okay, good.
Yeah. You're in the pile with long hair. I wish I had the hair. Back in the 80s, Coconuts
Do you want
guys.
to tape this, or are we going?
Oh, we're gone. We're already
we're going.
Oh,
Yeah.
We've been
There's
watching.
no intro. There's no
That's it.
drum roll.
No.
That's it.
You guys.
He
are,
does-
Not
you
here.
guys are great.
Exactly. No cohesion.
Okay, gotcha.
No. The people know us. In fact, when they're listening to this pod, the benefit of listening to this pod is when they're starting their car, right? And everyone's like, "Oh, we got to get in the car. The pod's going to begin." Who's ever leading that pod
Gets to hear the
group
real-
of that audience knows they're saying, "No, you know how Carmen is. The first 7 minutes, he doesn't do shit on the pod."
We got 5, 6, 12 minutes.
We got plenty of
still
time.
got time to pile in the car.
Right, go back in the house, go get your sunglasses. You got time. He's still talking to Donnie about the fucking mic again. So, no, there's no cohesion. But, yeah, Lou Angelwolf, I said your name, by the way.
Sure.
You see, I said it twice now. So that's a
did.
lot.
I-
I usually skip names.
A lot of us back then were, we were like G. David Howard and Ron Bennington disciples.
Yeah, right. You were a little before me because you had already been in some type of outlaw gang of comedy.
Well, that was in the early '90s. That was the Disciples of Comedy.
Right.
With Jimmy Schubert, Carl LeBeau, Mitchell Walters,
Right.
Alan Steven, Dan Carlson, Jeff Applehoff, Warren Durso,
Wow.
and Ron Bennington, of course.
Did you memorize these names before you came in?
They're
Were you in the car going, okay, I'm going to be on a
They're still in
podcast?
my Rolodex.
He has them
Or are
tattooed
these
somewhere.
names just burned into your brain?
They're all my buds, yeah. A few of them, Mitchell Walters, yeah, they were all.
I remember those. He had a hat, remember?
He had a hat.
He used to wear a hat in his 8x10 glossy.
Yeah, he had a hat. I
That's-
never wore a hat because you always had to play past the hat.
You were a leather guy.
I wore leather jackets. I was like a Kmart Dice Clay.
Yeah, you were leather. No,
But
you're
actually,
you're a hippie, leather. You're on the edge of everything. You have like this very calming thing to you.
Oh, thank you.
You know, you have this gentle way. Then you have the leather, what comes out, which you don't know what the leather's going to produce.
Angel Wolf. Angel.
Right. Oh,
Wolf.
I didn't. Really? Is that how they work? I didn't realize that.
The bad side of something good, the good side.
Holy.
of something
Wait,
bad.
is this on purpose?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
That you made Angel Wolf? Or is that your real name?
Nobody's named Angel Wolf.
Nobody that's not cool. I'll tell you
Well,
that.
thank you. Actually, Angel Wolf was the name of a character that I wrote in a story in 8th grade. It was a story about a young Native American boy's passage to adulthood, and what he had to do was he had to rid their village of a wolf that was eating their cattle and their sheep and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And to make a long story not so
Wait,
long,
who was eating it? The boy?
the wolf? There was a wolf.
Carmen.
There was a wolf.
I got lost here.
There was a wolf terrorizing the
Okay,
village.
and the boy saw this.
Right. The boy saw, and it was my charge from the chief to rid the village of this wolf. Well, I couldn't kill him, but I ran him off. Okay.
Right.
And
You don't want to kill him?
I didn't want to kill him.
Because
I
you
didn't
had
wanna kill
the
him.
heart of an angel.
I didn't want to kill him. He didn't.
Yeah.
He was just living.
Right.
I didn't want to kill him because he was just living.
Right.
And then when the chief knew what I did, the chief knew that I just ran him off and didn't kill him.
Okay.
So he goes, "You are that wolf's angel. Your name is Angel Wolf."
Oh, so very forgiving on the Indian side. The Italians wouldn't put up with that. If you were told to go kill somebody, you let his ass go. You're the one that they would take out, put in a trunk, and shoot you in the friggin' head.
Where's his thumb? Bring me his
Right.
thumb.
You got to show proof that this guy's gone. That's where the Sopranos kind of took over,
He's
right?
not hitchhiking. Where's his thumb?
The modern day mob is portrayed in The Sopranos as that type of, Tony's got a problem. He's got some type of depression, and he's got to go see a counselor.
Yeah.
And he might have a heart. So let's, if you ever leak that, what they would definitely call mental illness.
Right.
In my family, there was no good thing mentioned about you if you were bad. If your brain had any glitch of a good heart, guess what?
Right.
You got a problem.
Right. Yeah.
They don't want you around. And this is construction.
I have a fair amount of Italian blood. My grandmother was Fagioni, and
That's a tough name to live with.
yeah, Fagioni. So
What's the nickname on that?
yeah,
Joan, actually.
Joan.
Joan Crawford. That was the problem. But
Fajon.
so yeah,
I love that name, by the way.
it's a beautiful.
I might
name.
use it in a sketch,
Yeah, go ahead.
but
Fagioni.
not maybe in a derogatory way. What are you, a Fagione?
Yeah.
Huh? Did you
Anthony-
touch Rocco? What kind of
Anthony
Fagione are you?
Fagioni, yeah. So yeah, it. But every Italian guy I know, no matter how freaking tough they are, there's one beam that
I
they're
know.
so soft.
Oh, mama?
Oh, their mothers, their daughters. There's something that just destroys them.
Yeah,
Philadelphia Eagles,
the Browns, right? Any of this, yeah. We grew up with the Cleveland Browns. At least the Eagles.
get one
there's
every
something.
once in a while.
No, the little bit of heart. I get what you're saying. I would look for that in people to see, and then I would exploit it. Anyway, I would look for that little bit of love from some of my cousin. My cousins who are, and they still to this day act like, they're big. We used to call them. We think you're a big man,
Yeah.
You're a big man.
Sure.
huh?
Yeah.
And it was funny because a lot of them, it was fake. What did they really have? My one cousin couldn't fight at all, but he always got into fights,
Right.
and then he would call his brother.
Yeah. What
Right?
was that?
Frankie's gonna kick your ass, right? And then Frankie got sick of his brother saying that, so Frankie beat the shit out of him.
Learn to do it yourself.
But I think you're raised like that in the culture.
Yeah. I was not raised in like Italian neighborhoods or stuff like that. I moved to Florida in 1969.
Oh, Skinner,
So-
you're a Skinner boy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude.
You're almost a native.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. The
I dream of that sometimes.
Simple Man is like my national anthem.
Oh, I love that, man.
It's,
And I'm on the hunt. I know who you are.
yeah. Sure. Right. Exactly. There you go. But my dad was, half Italian, and German the other half, and so I was raised with that kind of Gucci thing. There was always
Guido
my dad was,
or Gucci?
Well, my
What do
dad
you mean
was-
Gucci?
My dad was,
Money?
No, just like a gooch. Like hey, that kind of
The
like
Gooch.
like when things lost their seriousness, they went to that.
They went to. Oh, he was just like
family stuff.
he's gonna get rougher.
And kidding.
German side or the
harsh-
Italian side?
The
Which
Italian
one?
side. The Germans were so freaking boring. But
I like their language.
well, yeah.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch. I mean, I love it's very authoritative. Italians are more, when an Italian yells at you, right, it's more of a romance.
Right.
The Germans, wo ist das Badzimmer? And that's just, where's the bathroom? That's not even,
They're barking commands, though.
right.
Right.
I mean, you're just asking for help, but you're yelling at someone?
Yeah.
And Italians are busting eggs generally, you know.
Italians are always like the fun Italians.
Yeah.
The fun Italians, right? Will pinch your cheek. Like my Aunt Patty, she's fun in a way, but she's still trying to get information out of you the whole time.
Right.
You know, it starts off with Carmenucci, this loving little nickname that they give you. Hold on one second. Okay, I'm good now. There's those macadamia nuts.
One of my favorite little Italian verbal glitches is "not from nothing." And I've always contemplated that statement. Not from nothing. Well, that's negative.
What do I know?
That's negative.
Right. I hear today now when I go back up there and you ask about something, it doesn't even matter what it is. It could be something that they actually do know. You hear, what do I know? What do I know? Because they do know. That's why I'm asking you.
That's right.
I know you know.
In case you're under oath.
But why do you say, what do I know? Because you're not, if you say something, if I ask someone who knows the answer and they tell me the answer, later on, I'm going to say something about that. And someone goes, where did you hear that? And I go, well, Frankie told me. And then it goes around the horn where this kid goes to Frankie. Did you tell Carmen? Huh? Did you tell him that Aldi had a sale? It doesn't matter what it's about. It could be the stupidest thing. It used to be about women. It used to be about family. You know, it used to be about keeping your mouth shut. But it's always, they don't want to answer a question. And it became ingrained into not just I don't know if it's a cultural thing. It's our family.
Right.
They won't answer a question.
Right.
And they won't ask you a question, so they all sit at the table staring at each other because no one wants to initiate any conversation.
Oh.
Sounds a lot like my family.
It's horrible. And if you do ask a question, of course, what are you, writing a book? It's the old...
Yeah.
You get reverse interrogated.
I think that's the whole confessional conception gone way too far. You know, that, the Italians with the Catholic Church and going to the confession and talking.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. There's something about confessions
That we were forced to do.
Forced to do and didn't enjoy.
Lou, I've never heard this angle.
Didn't enjoy. Oh, yeah.
Have you discussed this before?
I just think about stuff too
You
long.
better put this on paper. This is pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, I've. Is there a camera on me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This guy right here. I was looking.
Are you getting paranoid now? I was like, hey,
No, I just wondering.
am I being watched?
I didn't get a chance to fix my hair or nothing.
You look good.
Thank you. But yeah, the thing that I'm noticing right now, I have a couple of nephews that are, let's just say, they have derogatory personalities. And I look back on how they were raised and where they were raised and the experiences that they had. And a long time ago, I read this psychiatrist. I can't even remember who it was, but I remember. He said, everything you know, you're going to learn from 0 to 5. And you're going to repeat that cycle your whole life. As you get a little older, you'll stretch out to 0 to 7. But 0 to 5 is who you are your whole life over and over again. So consequently, I see people that have trouble telling the truth, people that like to conceal information, people that can, keep a bad secret, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
A lot of times that was from
0 to 5?
And then if you're a Catholic, then you were introduced into the confessional.
I'm 3 years old. My father comes home with his gumar. He's banging her on the couch.
Yeah.
And he tells me, don't you fucking open your mouth to your mother.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
There's that. And those type of
I mean, I don't remember it, but I'm sure it happened.
Those type of little impacts.
Oh, they're huge.
They're
huge.
And I know grown men that can't get past their 4 and 5 year old shit.
But I like this angle where see, I'm going to take this other angle that you kind of brought up, and it's beautiful material. If you could somehow craft this little piece of clay into a beautiful bowl or something, Lou. But the idea that you have this theory that the Italians or the Catholics were forced to confess, leading to lack of confession in their own families.
Yes. Well, because they were, there's the God factor. God is listening to you.
And you only talk to the priest.
And watching you, and then you went into the little dark box and you told what you told.
Right.
Okay. And that's where your first imbalance of trust came in too. Because you got to go, okay, I just told this guy, I just spilled my guts to this guy.
Right.
Can I really trust him, or is he having coffee with the guy I just squealed on?
Coffee. Shit, he's
Whatever.
doing a lot more.
Cappuccino.
Here's a priest who you just told that you jacked off 6 times because you were told that was bad, by the way.
Yes.
Between 0 and 5, you were told, stop jacking off.
Spilling
You didn't even have a dick yet, and you were told between 0 and 5.
I don't think I even got that far.
Look, I'm telling you it happened. If you're telling me, I'm just using what you gave me.
Right.
From 0 to 5, you're touching your wiener for sure, right?
Well, you
you're a
have to.
baby.
You
You're
have to
a
point
baby
it.
boy. You're grabbing a thing, and then someone slapped your hand away from it because of their friggin' religion.
But almost
Right? And then this is why at 13 I had a problem. I would slap my own hand away.
It's just in the middle of the night, he'd have to wake up out of its start and just go, no.
No.
Hey,
Don't
what
you
do you
dare.
think you're doing?
So I can get on this wagon with you.
Okay.
I believe that there is some things from 0 to 5 that unconsciously you're taught.
They are. It's like like I'm a pretty mellow cat. I let stuff happen around me,
But
and
you
I
hold
watch.
you hold a lot in though.
Pardon me.
You're holding a lot in. I could see it.
Sure I am.
Well, you know so much.
It would be bad if I let it
I'm
all
saying,
out.
Donny, if you pay attention to what he's saying, he's got a lot of insights from observing.
So I watch. I'm quiet. And as I've grown older and I've had psychiatric treatment and psychological treatment.
Shock treatment?
No. Okay. Just talking to people smarter
All
than
right.
me, who I
You got
deem
shock treatment.
I should have.
who I deem smarter than me.
I would have loved to try it.
But you know what? It's funny. Even through all that psychology and stuff that I it was all voluntary. I just wanted to talk to somebody. I needed a.
Why do you think we do the podcast?
I needed a third person, semi-omniscient point of view.
But are they even helping you? Like when you go to talk to people, I get it. They're skilled in a way where they understand patterns.
Right.
Is everything a pattern?
It is, and it's funny too. You can almost tell which therapist went through what type of training they went through.
Yeah.
Because at the end of it, almost like if you take an 8-week session with them or a 12-week session with them, probably 4 out of 7 therapists that I've sat with throughout my life, 4 out of 7 went, "Oh, by the way, Lou, when you first came here, you were trying to figure out what was wrong with you."
Right.
Okay, and I could tell you, there's nothing wrong with you.
Wow. And they knew that.
They well, yeah, and they waited.
But they wanted to hold you for 8
waited
weeks.
for the check to clear, but because there's nothing wrong with you. You're just analytical. You lead with your heart. You're sensitive.
Yeah.
So things are going to bother you more than the average person.
Right.
So knowing that 4 out of 7 times, somebody said, "There's really nothing wrong with you. You're okay," because.
Wait, 7 therapists?
Yeah, probably.
And then
7.
only 4 of them said you were okay?
Yeah, the other.
Wait a second. What about the other 3?
Yeah.
Well, and this is interesting.
So we decided not to pay attention to those results where the guy told me I was a psychopath.
That's almost 50%.
I mean, it's a big chunk.
Yeah. But, well, I'll also, the other 2 out of the 7, there's one that stands alone.
Okay.
But who I started dating.
This is a surprise. I knew that.
Okay,
For
hold on.
some reason, I
Right.
knew that was coming up.
Right.
This is
You can't. That's a conflict of interest immediately. Of course
Right.
she's going to say you're a psychopath.
this is Dr. Melfi. This is Sopranos again.
Yeah.
I knew this was happening. You start staring at her long enough.
Well,
Wait,
what
let
it is-
me just stop you here.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was she wearing? I'm serious. Is she showing her legs?
Not at first.
No.
It shouldn't be.
It was always jeans.
Okay.
And
You never had a dentist with a low top on? A female dentist that wore a low top? You ever come across that? What kind of doctor
I
issues
had
do
really
you have?
homely dentists. They were awful.
Good. That's what you want.
Yeah, right.
You
right.
don't want these. That's why I very rarely use females for anything. I have a female accountant, nice looking lady, very nice, but dresses conservatively. Right. It's too distracting for men.
Yeah.
We can't deal with it.
Well,
Why doesn't anyone go deeper on that topic and start understanding who we are? That's who we are genetically.
it is, but it's also the kind of information that you're looking for. Okay, it's generally your feminine side that's looking for more divine guidance. If you want a rough, if you want a,
So we believe that God is a female.
God is both. And
But you said female side looking for divineness.
no, looking for guidance, looking for a feminine guidance. Because now, and in that, my Native American studies too, many of the Western tribes, when the tribe had a problem, like say there was another tribe that was trying to invade them or whatever,
Right. Okay.
all the chiefs would come together and the men of the tribe, and then they would go and they would speak to the council of grandmothers,
Whoa.
who birthed all of these people.
Yeah.
They watched them all grow up.
Right.
Okay. And then they offered and they didn't always say, no, don't go to war. They sometimes did, but it had a very, very good purpose.
Look, I think grandmas are where it's at.
Oh.
And grandmas can be to the point where they will tell you. I had a friend, we were in a bar once, and someone was wearing a hat that said, fuck you on it. Right? And we were with this guy's mom. She wasn't a grandma, but she's the mom. She's a nice lady. She's a teacher. She's sweet, right?
Right.
And we're with her. Nothing's happened. We don't want to start any bullshit. We're young. Right. We just want to have a good time with our parents. And this guy keeps pointing at his fuck you hat and then pointing at my buddy, right? And then we're ignoring him. And finally, the mom says to her son, how much more of that shit you going to take?
Nice.
And then all hell broke loose. My grandma was never a violent person, but they would give you clues on what to do. It is very true, and especially not just the Indian culture, but again, the Italians.
Yeah.
My aunt, if she wanted you to do something, she would make you dessert. She would say, come on over for coffee, right? And then she would say something about, cockeye next door. Cockey's been parking his car on Grandpa's lawn. Have a cannoli. And then, we'd all go in the backyard like, that fucking cockeye, right? And then the cockeye would have to pay a small price for doing what he wasn't supposed to do. It constantly happens in my family. Still to this day, my mother, and I think they call it, it's not gaslighting.
No.
But it seems like that would be gaslighting, where my mother would say to me, I went to the doctor, he said this to me, and now I'm crying, which means you better call this son of a bitch and straighten his ass out. My mother would do that to me a lot.
That's coercion more than anything.
I know, but she knew how to do that to me.
What style?
With the idea that I was protecting her.
Yes. And she also knew that was an integral part of you and an important part of you that she wanted you to learn to validate.
Well, you said to me just now, between the times I was 0 and 5, I only had her. My dad was barely around. She was programming my ass for that moment with that doctor.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I called the doctor, and this is where I started learning stuff. And this was about 25 years ago. And he said to me, I said to him, did you say something to my... I started off in that tone, which was not right, but I did. And then he said to me, he goes, let me just ask you, Carmen. He was a friend of mine that I knew. He goes, just let me ask you something, Carmen. Does your mom always act like this? And he stopped me in my tracks. Wow. And I'm like, yeah. And then I realized, man, she just played me on this. She just made me do something I shouldn't have done. I should think more clearly about who I am dealing with and what agenda they possibly have.
And
But she's a grandma, right? You're
Right.
talking about these. You got to have certain grandmas. Could you imagine an Indian tribe of grandmas that were manipulating their Indians?
They didn't play head games back then. There was
How do you know?
Well,
I hope they
can't
did.
say that. I can't.
I hope there was comedians. I hope they had all kinds.
Let me retract that. Well, yeah.
And now tonight, coming out from his teepee.
You want? I tell you what. You want to watch a nice historic piece? Watch Little Big Man. Came out in 1971.
Yeah.
Dustin Hoffman played like 5 different roles in the movie. It's called Little Big Man, and it really. I mean it. It's one of, I've owned the movie all my life, and I've probably watched it 15 times.
Wow.
But it really, as a person growing up, it shows you a lot of dimensions that you're going to experience. Okay.
As an Indian.
No, he was Little Big Man.
Was he an Indian?
No, not really. But he got drafted into a tribe. Kind of by happenstance.
He wasn't born in the woods?
No.
With a loincloth?
No, he wasn't.
So he's in...
But he spent some years with them due to...
like a wolf.
Kind of.
Raising a cub.
Yeah. You know.
Hotfoot. Chief Hotfoot would be the comedian's name.
You know, I feel like I didn't give you a preface when we first got into this. You're trying to inform Carmen of facts.
Oh, is that a problem?
He can't handle that.
I'm listening to his facts.
You are.
Well,
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to weave the comedy. For me, I just believe. I just believe there's some things, right? Yes, there are some things that are true, but I think we also. My perspective on these things is always from the jackass point of view.
Well, that's your comedic.
Yeah, I know, but it's me.
Well, yeah,
It's what he did when he was 0 to 5.
That's why you're a comedian. Because
What's bothering me, Lou,
dude,
now, what's really bothering me is I don't know if Donny has those things in the shot next to you. He's got some peripheral stuff that's. Are you not?
I mean,
is that in the shot, Donny?
Yeah, and
Can
it's
you
going
see
to
that
kill
crap?
me. It's going to kill me, but we're 20 minutes in. I'm not
I
changing it now.
cannot.
I
do
throw
not.
The box out of the way. The rest of it's
There's
fine.
a box in the way in this shot, Donny.
Carmen.
Just leave it now. God bless it.
We're 20 minutes
So anyway,
in.
I've been staring at it the whole time. I can't get my eyes off it. Why do you think I'm having a hard time with the Indian story?
Why do you think I tried to put him in the middle?
So, I know what you're saying, Lou, but no, I don't. But anyway, I believe you are very insightful.
thank you.
Right?
I'll take that.
Where does the comedy come in? Like when you're looking at things, because you seem very serious about some things. But where does the comedy of all this? Like if you're watching Little Bigfoot, right? Which is a funny name.
Little Big Man.
But it doesn't matter.
Little Bigfoot's a different show.
But it's funny to think, like you thought you really buy into the idea that there was no grandmas manipulating their Indian cubs. You know there were.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And then I'm sure there was like this hot Indian dude that was like, he was only about 14 at the time, and his Indian teacher was probably all over him, just like we have in this society. Right? Oh, that's not right, Donny? It's not happening?
Well,
Frame your question. Keep going.
I'm just saying, do you think society's changed? You got teachers in high schools hitting on their underage students. You think that didn't happen in a teepee, Donny? Okay? And no one knows about this shit.
well,
Okay, so yes, of course there's going to be manipulation on the reservation.
Where is this coming from?
Because he said there was no manipulation. There was
I didn't say
He
there
said,
was no-
Lou told me that everyone was kind and honest from a movie. He's never even been on it. He's never even grown up on
I've never even seen him on the Discovery
Right.
Channel.
I don't even know if he's got any Blackfoot in him or if he's a Mohican. Where's he coming up with this? From the movies. And I believe that he's right in some ways, because I did believe that if you were in a fraternity at college, what you should do is cause havoc. Break guitars on stairwells. Try to suck in a piece of Jell-O all at once and then blow it back out on your fraternity opponents. Try to get laid with the professor's wife because of Animal House. Don't you understand? The movies have shaped our minds. We don't even know what's real.
Well,
Wait, hang on, Donnie. Anything, Donnie?
No,
That's where I'm coming from.
well,
That's where I'm coming from.
in all those instances,
He's talking about Dustin Hoffman.
and he won an Academy Award for that.
Fagioni is a real family.
Yeah.
Little Bigfoot.
Little big man.
Little Big Man. Is he a real dude? Is it based on a real guy?
I don't know.
You're living your life based on fiction.
No,
So are you.
No,
I know, but I admit to it.
but I.
He
No.
sincerely believes.
Well,
It's philosophies.
it's no. I just what I saw.
Donnie's trying to
What-
calm it down, but
what
I
I
think this is
saw-
amazing that
What I saw was the divine feminine
in the. Oh, okay. We're back to that.
from the Native American grandmothers who knew.
Wait, where'd you get this part?
This is from the same. We're in the same. We're in the same realm.
No, it's the same movie.
Same movie.
Okay.
Okay. Who knew and the reason that it was, and I read up on it after I saw the movie. Okay, and of course, they didn't go into
Women love you.
They didn't,
Don't they?
A lot of them do. They didn't go.
When you say divine feminism,
the
oh my
divine
God.
feminine,
feminine, I'm sorry.
is your best. That is
Inside you.
inside all of it, and inside every man.
You think there's feminine inside man
absolutely
because of the X chromosome?
Sure, exactly. But what
Is that true, Dan?
That's your sensitivity.
Yeah, because
okay?
your mom,
0 to 5. Your mom was probably.
That's your
well, she
sensitivity,
bore you.
which is very, to me, it's important for a guy to be as soft as he is tough. You got to have both. To me, okay?
But you don't want too much on the outsides of that, right? You don't want
says-
too tough and too soft.
Says Lou Angelwolf.
Right.
There's a good side. There's a bad side.
Well, you can say that because you're big. You have authority without even having to prove authority. See, you're coming from a different perspective, Lou.
Well,
You're a towering human.
I'm blessed. I'm blessed. With
Have you
that.
watched Lord of the Rings?
No,
What the hell? You've never watched Lord of the Rings? You would love that.
not one. I never watched any of it. For some particular reason, it was of no interest to me.
Have you never seen the White Wizard Gandalf?
I know again because people call me Fat Gandalf.
Oh, that's not nice. That is not. I would have never. I would have said.
I was never gonna go there.
I would've-
It's just
that's
scratching out
just
on a sheet
not
of paper.
right, Lou. And by the way, that's not their divine feminine coming out when they say things like that.
No, but you see, that's the thing. A lot of guys don't know how. You see, you have to manipulate all that stuff inside of you.
Who's saying that to you, by the way? Because I would
Just
be afraid to say it to you. I would be fearful.
Years of trying.
Would
to
you hurt
reason-
me if I ever attacked your weight?
I wouldn't hurt you. I would. Right. No, and see, that's the other thing. I also live by the 4 agreements. Don Miguel Ruiz wrote the 4 agreements, and what other people think and say about me is none of my business. That's their stuff.
Oh, that's a good way of doing it, but that's hard.
Well, it does take some years of development.
It's none of your business when it's said directly to you.
It really isn't, because that's that guy's take. And if it's somebody that hardly knows
But it's
me,
saying it to you, so it's not about the take anymore. It's about the aggression.
if it's going to turn aggressive, it's going to turn aggressive because he's going to hit.
Why is he saying that?
He's going to
Lou?
hit those chords within me that's going to make me turn
Right.
aggressive, and I will abandon my divine feminine. Okay, and I will go for my brusque masculine.
This is what I look for in the big guys. When
You
I'm
know-
on stage and I'm tormenting some monster person,
Right.
I am trying to look for those chords, and if I do touch it, I have to go, okay, that's not good. Because
So-
guess what? Yes, for 45 minutes, you're going to be able to pull us off, but he'll be waiting for you.
So you try to trigger big guys?
No. Did you hear what I said, Lou? Is this one of your chords I'm touching?
No.
What I said was,
He's gonna be trying to do
if I
this for the
do
next hour.
touch the chord,
Okay.
if I feel it, like just now when you just attacked me, I just
That
step.
was an attack? Oh my god.
To be fair, this is a lot of big wolf, little dog energy. Like big wolf, very calm
Right.
most of the time.
Right.
You can't really agitate him because
Right.
he can handle the situation. Little dog, little dog's gonna bark.
But if I
You're gonna bark
feel
a lot.
like I said, like there's a lot of guys, and I deal with a lot of big people, of course,
Yeah.
because everyone is kind of bigger than me.
You know, it's funny.
So I know big people.
But you know what?
I know you better than you know yourself.
I know you many years, okay? And I never... And you pick on your stature, okay? But I don't see you that way. I don't see you...
Barely sees you at all, actually.
That was our last pod. You're only as tall as you believe you are. What the fuck did I say?
Yeah.
You're only as tall. You're as tall as you think you are.
Yeah.
And see, I don't see. I mean, everything else about you just radiates out of you. Your humor, your wit, your charm. See, all that. I mean, whether you want to say it or not, it makes you bigger. I don't know, but but I don't see the. I don't see the duration of tormenting yourself over it.
Oh no, it's never that. Believe me, I agree with you 100%.
Okay.
Is that even on that camera? Because the battery compartment is.
Yes.
No, the other one, the big one.
Yes.
Okay. I gotta keep checking.
That's
Gotta keep
the
checking
screen that I was
Donnie's
checking.
work. We've had some issues.
I'm mid on my own.
Some
This
issues.
is all my stuff, and it does me okay most of the time.
That's great stuff.
Most of it.
Amazing.
Just want to make sure we're recording this because I have something very prophetic I wanted to say just now, and I completely spaced
Comedy
it.
Jesus is back.
Just completely spaced it. I didn't even know that I was small. To tell you the truth, I didn't even think about it until college.
I don't think you are, to be honest with you.
I appreciate that. I mean, I know height-wise, yes, I'm smaller than a normal person.
Right.
It's true. It's only because I can't find pants. It's in my bit, and it is true. If I was a normal size, I would be able to find pants without any headaches. Right. The world is against me. I'm in a pants desert. It's very difficult for me to go out there and easily get my pants. I have to suffer somehow. But
and that's it. It's the only.
I don't, and I stopped this a long time ago. It's a young man's thing, right?
Yeah.
The stuff that you think about, like you said, between 0 and 5 is true. And then there's that next group of learning, but there is a point where you also start going back on what you thought you learned and try to correct it, like judging people.
Sure. Judging people, the way you treat people in general. And also there's traps to being a larger person because you do have kind of like a false sense of dominance sometimes.
I knew it.
Okay,
Gotta
but
be amazing.
One good ass whipping.
You have a double dominance because you have height and you have hair, so it's a double dominance. When he lets his hair down,
What are you talking
he does this. Look at it. He's got all the hair. It's never let. Look, that's it right there. It is the flowing robe of every superhero.
Yeah,
it's the cape.
It's
Are we gonna have to make you a cape of like weaves and wigs? So
I would love. Why do you think I wear a wig in my videos and then I can't get out of the character?
No. You need to come on. You need to come onto stage with like a wrestler's belt that just has a little mic on it. World's best comic.
Yeah.
Lightweight.
Like completely buy into my own
Tiny
self.
weight division. Oh.
What if I lose myself in that though?
Have you not already?
No, because I stopped myself like Gollum did in Lord of the Rings Fellowship.
He hasn't seen Lord of the Rings.
Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway,
I've picked up enough of it in the periphery.
Well, Gollum is a character that's been alive for 500 years, and he's two people. He's Smeagol and he's Gollum.
Okay.
And he buys into the Gollum character, which is the evil side, to get his ring. Gollum, the evil one. I think Led Zeppelin sang about this,
And
right?
Gollum slipped away with it.
Slipped away
But
with it,
you
right?
know what? According to Tom Rhodes, who did some studying,
Yeah.
in the darkest depths of Mordor,
Right.
he met a girl so fair.
I don't think that's true.
There's no girls in.
No, there's no girl in Mordor.
Yeah, so
The girl is the elvish. She's Erwin. She's Aerosmith's daughter in the movie. She's pretty hot.
Have you gotten bored of quantum physics? Is that what's happening? He used to watch quantum physics videos on
I'm
YouTube.
still watching
study.
quantum physics.
Well,
I'm gonna go on to the Indian stuff pretty soon, though. I gotta pick up on some of this. No, I'm just saying the dual character of he's got the hair already. He's playing himself, right? I used to have hair, a lot of hair,
Yeah.
and not to have it is one of these pains that a lot of guys with hair don't understand. If you've never lost your hair, you don't understand the pain, and you almost have to give some consideration to that human more than you think you should. If you see a bald person, they're going through a lot.
Yeah.
They're going through a lot because guys will spend money, lots of money, to rip the hair out of the back of their head and implant it on the front to bring it back.
That was.
And what happens when that happens, Lou? You think they are whole again?
Rich Jenny,
Yeah,
who was one of the best comedians ever.
Oh, this could be a bad story.
He had a lot of problem with his
I
hairline.
know.
He had a lot of.
He
problem.
did?
He meant well. He had the doll plugs and all that.
He
stuff.
looked pretty good.
Yeah, but that was one of his insecurities was his hairline.
I thought it was all comedy related. Is that the guy that did something to himself?
Yeah, he
That they said he didn't do?
unalived himself. Like
Yeah, I thought they denied it too, though, that it wasn't him. And
I don't really know.
I don't know either.
And how
because
can you know?
You won't know. It's like JFK.
Right,
This
exactly.
whole they redacted. They didn't redact anything. They just sent a bunch of shit, and we still don't know nothing.
Yeah.
What we know now is Jackie killed him.
Yeah. Jackie's so bad.
Can you believe that they would try to turn that around on her?
Sure.
That people are so evil.
Sure.
That's one thing I don't like.
Well, I think what's also happening.
You know, I got a little bit of traditionalism in me.
Yeah.
I like to see Santa Claus.
Do you?
Yeah. Even though I don't care that it's just something that I want to keep alive.
Well, and that's fun because
And Will
in
Ferrell,
your 0 to 5,
he helped me.
in your 0 to 5, you had a very, very charming experience with a Christmas thing. Okay. Okay.
It sounds like I could have been on the island of misfits. I could have been not Rudolph with the red nose leading the way. I was all those shit toys.
You wanted to be the dentist.
Oh God!
Look at you.
No, I tell you what Christmas was savior. It was a savior for me.
There you go. Sure.
Because what happened was during my childhood, I guess, is when you don't have money.
Right.
Christmas, for some reason, gave money to everybody.
Right.
Not just physical money or gifts. What it gave you was joy. It's false joy in some ways because it is just, it could be just considered a Hallmark tradition in some ways, but people put lights up.
Yeah.
Trees were being cut.
Right.
There was food. There was joy. There was singing. There was something about it, and I didn't tie it to religion at all.
It was very well produced, and the Santa Claus that you have was actually the red suit with the white trim
Right.
and all that stuff. That was all Coca-Cola.
Yeah, is that crazy?
Coca-Cola did all that.
And I can't be mad at them.
No, well, the greatest sellers of sugar water
Do you
in
think
the
if
world.
the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light label with the trans woman, you think that if that would have taken off, we would have had a holiday around her?
That poor kid.
Just-
If that would have taken off, Donnie.
I can't even picture what the holiday would.
I don't know either, but who knew that Coca-Cola was going to create the icon for Christmas? You just don't know. You put something on a can, Santa or Dylan, you don't know what it's going to produce.
This is true.
Well,
That's why you have to have an open mind.
So what holiday creature are you trying to make here? What one are you looking forward
For
to?
which holiday?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you trying to become the icon for April Fools or what's going on?
That's not a bad idea. It's
coming up.
You have not. Look, can
It'll
I
be
tell you
past
something?
us by the time this comes out.
He's right, Lou. There's a lot of taken for granted on the April Fool's Day, which is tomorrow.
Yeah, we
I
don't
believe.
have
We don't have any trees for it. We don't have any icons. We don't have any lights for it. We don't have any gifts for it.
That's
You
what it is.
can really jack this thing up if you get enough private funding and bring this out as an IPO. You could roll this motherfucker out, and you could make April Fools all about whatever you wanted it. Because no one's thinking about that. They're saying it's not a big deal. Everything that wasn't a big deal got jacked up,
well, there's
except April Fools.
It's true.
Well, here's the other thing about April Fools, and I don't know if this creates some sort of turbulent water around it.
How dare you reintroduce facts into this? Go on.
But they say that is probably the correct birth date of Jesus.
Really?
And all of the post-Constantinian
Whoa.
Christianity.
Whoa.
Okay.
Roman Catholic
Yeah.
stuff here.
He came in and he changed all that Hebraic. He changed the Sabbath from Saturday to
Who,
Sunday.
Constantine?
Constantine did
Okay.
in
Again, not enough Constantine talk in this pod.
325. 320. Constantine came in and made all these changes.
325 AD.
325 AD.
Okay, it's about probably 800 years before The Hobbit. Move on.
right? He came in.
Well, Middle Earth was, 1200, about 1200.
He changed. He said all the food is clean. When the Hebrews said, "Hey, the swine flesh is not clean," but
Oh, really? Is that when that stopped? Pork stopped in 325?
yeah. Well, no, it was stopped up to 325, and then Constantine deemed all things clean for you.
Okay.
Okay, but it was never clean
So Hebrew.
for believers.
Wait, you said Hebrewic.
Hebraic.
Hebrewic would be a great coffee. Anyway.
Hebrewic is a big electric 225. It's a Hebrewic.
Yeah.
Big deuce and a quarter with a nice.
Is that what they
box.
call it?
Deuce
Because
and
it's
a
a
quarter.
Buick. The Buick.
Brewick.
Nice.
The brothers call it the Brewick.
No shit.
Yeah.
They had an Electra?
That was an Electra 225.
My uncle had the Le Sabre.
La Sabri.
Yeah. I always thought it was a French word
It is
for the sword, the saber,
the sword,
right?
the cutting edge.
So Constantine, and again, I don't know much about Constantine, but I do know that this thing about pork,
Yeah.
that you can't eat the pork.
You're
Some
not
people don't
supposed to
eat
the
pork.
swine flesh.
Because it was in mud. Why? What was the problem with pigs?
Well,
and the word pig probably was a decent word for a while.
Just meant the animal.
And
Probably
then somebody started throwing it around.
Probably the big thing with it is in the cannibalistic societies,
Yeah.
they called humans long pigs.
Long pigs.
Long pigs.
Who did?
Huh.
Oh, the cannibals.
Various sects of
Why
cannibalism.
would they say long instead of tall? It's just,
to stick with a theme?
it's a weird.
But they say, like a pig's eye looks just like our eye.
Oh, yeah.
And they can use organs out of a pig, heart valves and all
Right.
that kind of stuff.
Right.
And the one thing you notice about pigs, their heads are always in a down stance.
Yeah.
They almost seem like they've been cursed of some sort. Okay, so they were supposed to have a degree of reverence only to reflect your blessing. The fact that you can look up at the sky and see
Right.
all of God's
So
creation.
something happened to the pigs. Some
Yeah.
bullshit.
And-
Some chick pig, like an Eve, comparable to what happened with man,
Right.
in some garden. But for them, it was some type of pen.
right?
Right? It was two pigs, like Adam and Eve kind of situation, right? The Eve pig is not fucking happy. She's told not to go in a certain area of mud, and she does it, and she curses pigs for the rest of humanity. Now, every pig is born with original sin, and now these pigs got to keep their head down for the rest of their lives.
Well, there's
That's how their eyes look like ours.
some pencil lines to that though, and
Think about that for a little bit.
when Jesus was in Tiberias, okay, he encountered demoniacs, people that were demon
Oh,
obsessed.
yes.
And what did
I
he do?
saw those in Harry Potter.
What did he do to those? He turned them into pigs and sent them.
What?
He turned
Really?
them into pigs. He took the spirit from the demoniacs and he put it
Okay.
in the pigs.
In
Okay.
Harry Potter, what do they call those?
Oh God.
They're in the air.
Yeah.
They're the race in.
Oh my God.
In Dune, they're the race. They're not living. They're not
I
dead.
can only think of pigs in robes flying around now. Dementors.
The Mentors.
That's the
Right.
one.
So you have in every story that's
And the word demented.
right. This is all kind of similar. All these stories are very similar. It's very
Sure.
scary, by the way, that all these stories have the same theme. We would call that in comedy. We would call that being a hack. Can't you come up with an original story? Right,
right,
Jesus.
yeah, sure.
Right. Ishmael. Right. Quran. All these things are the same story recycled over and over and over.
Well, I mean, at the time they were written, they were kind of new. There wasn't that many of them. That was the idea.
Well, then Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Well, the
newer.
beautiful.
Right. You said they weren't that new. Harry Potter.
But
You think Harry Potter didn't take some of this? Can I tell you something? Right? There's a character in Harry Potter, I can't think of their name, that is very like Smeagol. It's a little dude in Harry Potter.
The fucking rat guy, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of similarities. And then you got the similarities between Star Wars.
What have you been doing? What have you been doing recently?
I'm just telling you that Frodo Baggins is like Luke Skywalker. It's very similar. They're on a quest.
Sure.
Okay? You got the Dark Lords in both of those. You got Sauron, and then you got Darth Vader. It's just these are stories are recycled. It's like Kia's looking like fucking Range Rovers. I'm tired of it. I need some originality.
Well, look at our architecture these days. You see all these
See,
apartments.
he flows right with it.
He keeps coming right.
That's it. I'm telling you, he knows what he's doing.
Look at the architecture. Every apartment complex that you're looking at now is a jail with trim.
Yeah.
They're all rectangular, stacked on top of each other, built like shit.
Right.
Plywood, fiberboard.
Have you read The Fountainhead?
No, is that
Ayn Rand.
Yeah, no, I haven't read that.
That book is about the architect, based on the old school architect that everyone loves. I can't fucking think of.
Frank Lloyd Wright.
Frank Lloyd Wright. So that book is based on a Frank Lloyd Wright-ish character who has some type of integrity when it comes to architecture.
Right.
But is being told by the media, society, by the public on what to build. But he doesn't want to build what they want to build. He wants to build what he builds. So basically what it comes down to is that everything ends up except him, and he decides to quit and not participate.
Right. And then everything turns into a jail or
everything
school.
turns into block and
Elementary
ugly
school.
and
just
and supported by those who are important at the time who are not architects. People who are not architects commenting on architecture.
temporary human storage.
Exactly.
And if you look back in the Tartarian days,
Who's that now? Who's Tartarian?
it's hard to really tell.
The Tartars.
Yes.
Is this the part of that?
The Tartarians, that's just start Googling Tartaria and you'll see just...
You're starting to get into Batman terms almost.
Well, here's...
It feels like a Batman
actually,
term.
If you guys wanted to title this show...
The
there's
Tartarians?
There's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. All of this...
What about this pod?
This podcast?
It's pretty unique.
Well, they've had powwows forever and a day. They just didn't have microphones.
We're just putting cameras in front of us.
So when that guy in the Constantine
What do you think
days,
Socrates did?
I know I was going to bring him up, and you pronounce everything correctly, and I hate it. I like Socrates.
I was doing Bill and Ted's Big Adventure pronunciation.
Oh my god,
that was so great.
See, they were good. That was comedy. That was
Keanu,
real,
dude. Keanu.
Before he got serious.
Oh, I love that guy. He's been through all the tumultuous things that an actor can go through, and he kept his real self. If that's what, unless I've just bought in what they've sold us.
No, it's fine because you have a choice of what you want to buy into.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, was probably 90.
Yeah, right around there. Yeah.
You had another choice at that time. You could have fell into maybe one of those Jack Nicholson movies where he's with not Sissy Spacek.
Chinatown?
No, I'm saying your choice in 1990 was either going to be a Dolly Parton flick.
Oh, the
or
Postman Always Rings Twice.
Yeah, some heartwarming flick about chicks. Or you were going to go into the Beavis and Butthead mode.
Yeah.
Right? So you had a choice. So it's not really that you got fed into it. You chose from the shelf of shit, which one do I want?
Right.
Which one do I want? Do I want to be the fun guy, the serious guy, the sad guy, the retro guy? Your choices are wide and varied.
Well,
but you're saying Keanu, he took that and he went too far. He gave up his comedy, just like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Sean Penn was hilarious.
right.
Right. He orders
now
a
look
pizza. He orders a pizza in class. He's cut.
Beautiful.
He's got long hair.
Sure.
Spicoli. That was the guy that.
Surf
these are the
dude.
people that led us out of childhood to this mid-adult. I guess it's an adulthood, is it? Yeah. It's not like the greatest thing though, Lou.
No, and
to be serious.
And I have a couple of subtitles for some my life pile of stuff
Yeah.
is a one-man show, and there's sections in the one-man show that Jack Kerouac ruined my life, Burt Reynolds ruined my life.
Burt Reynolds. He was fun for a little bit, wasn't he, though?
Burt?
Was it a little bit? When he used to spray, like, whipped
Burt
cream
was-
on?
He ruined my life, but I mean, it's a tongue-in-cheek
Okay,
thing.
all right, okay.
yeah.
Because I don't know who Jack Kerouac is. I had to go with Burt.
You know who Jack Kerouac? He wrote On the Road, man.
Yeah, shit,
Every comic that was out there. There were guys that were way more business-minded about the comedy industry,
Yeah.
much like yourself.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of guys out there just because that's the way the wind blew them. You know what I mean?
And they survived it, and they did well, some of those guys.
Some of those guys, well, yeah, if you...
And they didn't even know they were funny.
Right.
That's
Sure.
I think it's more beautiful.
Yeah.
When you have the ability to live and people just love you and you're not sure why,
Right.
you're having fun and you're not trying to be funny. Trying to be funny, I think, is a horrible curse.
Trying to be funny
It's a curse.
is a mountain.
It's a curse.
A mountain to
And that's
climb.
what stand-up is. You have to write an act to perform and memorize in time, right? So it's really contrived.
Yeah, it's a performance.
That's why I like improv. When I go, I still do. I mean, go on stage and I like to kind of abandon the act sometimes.
Right? If you're in a venue that will tolerate...
Allow it.
Yeah.
It seems like that's the thing today. by the way.
Artistic...
But I don't want to lose you on this. How'd they ruin your life?
It's a tongue-in-cheek they ruined my
No,
life.
I know.
They inspired me.
Right.
Okay? But they
But
gave me,
how did they ruin it in your eyes?
Well, Kerouac, who wrote On the Road and a couple other books.
You were leading yourself toward being a lawyer or something?
No. I was always in sales of some sort.
Right.
And I just got tired of the sales rhetoric, you know. And I was a good salesman. I could really sell. And I was probably the best Pontiac salesman that there was in
What year?
1983.
Holy shit.
And,
the good years for the Trans Am.
I was 23 years old.
Wow.
Making like $75,000 a year, selling Trans Am to Iranian exchange students.
Holy shit, because they watched the movie.
Sure. Well, right.
You see Smokey and the Bandit, you got to have a Trans Am.
Oh, dude. You know, and I mean, but look at who Burt Reynolds was to guys my age at
Sure.
that point. Okay, late teens, early 20s. Okay, here's a witty guy that's always laughing, driving a badass car. He's got
Right.
Sally Field riding with him. He's breaking the law.
Right.
He's on the edge.
Right.
He's up against he's against authority. Mm-hmm. You know,
Absolutely. We were trained in that language.
Yes, and he at the end, him and his 6.6 liter Trans Am pull away from the pack, and everything's good.
Right.
Same with Jack Kerouac. Jack Kerouac was just in On the Road was just a character that kept evolving and kept meeting people.
And there was never a movie?
Oh yeah, it's been a movie.
a movie?
It's a hard. I don't think I've seen two of them, and they never.
Is he a real person?
Jack Kerouac is a real person.
Okay.
He was born in Massachusetts, and he actually lived in St.
I
Petersburg.
mean, I know the name. I just never really investigated.
Yeah,
He must have
it's-
been earlier, 70s,
50s.
50s. Okay.
50s, yeah. And Hunter S. Thompson ruined my life as well.
I knew you were gonna bring him up.
So, but
I was thinking Gonzo journalism the whole time you're talking about this.
but
He ruined me too.
yeah, see, I never got into chemicals. I
didn't really
I didn't enjoy it. What's the old stock line? I quit doing cocaine. I finally got my teeth down to the size I wanted them.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Oh, it was fabulous.
That was
Oh,
who was that? Chappelle kept bringing up what's his name?
Rick James.
Rick James.
Oh, yeah.
That sketch when he kept saying cocaine is a hell of a drug. I'm like, I was trying to tell these guys, right, who are younger than me by a long shot, half my life ago, right? So imagine being in the culture of cocaine, being around it.
yeah.
You know, and I'm sure whatever they're doing today, it's similar, but
It's too dangerous anymore with the fentanyl.
Yeah, drugs in general, though, you know what was going on. And at that time, it did not seem like it was that big a deal.
No.
It didn't seem like it was, but when you watch the documentaries on it, you're like, oh shit.
Well, they don't make documentaries.
They make it look bad.
Right.
We're having fun.
Well, freaking blast.
Some of you are.
You know, I mean, it was a decent time. It could have got bad. I mean, there was that point where I stopped for sure after the basketball player Lenny Bias, I believe his name.
Yeah, Len Bias
died on the court.
And that was how sick that culture was. Really strong cocaine. That's what they named it.
Lenny Bias.
You want some
Hey,
Len Bias?
that's comedy.
Yeah.
That's comedy. I have no problem with that, and Len Bias shouldn't have any problem with that either.
He didn't say much.
I'm saying that anybody who has a problem with making fun of anything, for me, doesn't understand what the purpose of comedy is.
Well, humor is absolutely integral for a society, and I believe that humor is one of the things that has propelled the United States and America and all of us. It held us up, you know. It held us. It made us resilient, because I mean, we've all gotten our ass kicked in various ways. Sometimes physically, sometimes mentally, sometimes business wise. We've all gotten our ass kicked, but at the end, you're sitting there. You're things are scabbing over, and you're going, I have to laugh at all the things that I did. I have to laugh at every mistake that I ever made. I have to, I have to see the
why.
To compare the dichotomy of your reality versus your humor.
But there's a why.
Why?
Why do you have to laugh at this shit? 9/11. Why do we have to laugh at it?
Oh, I don't laugh much at 9/11.
No. Why do we have to?
I don't.
Got to work your way through the trauma.
You cannot get through it if you don't laugh about it.
That's true.
It's not that you forget how bad it was.
Right.
You don't forget how bad it was. But if you lost humor on anything, even the death of the closest person, that might be tough. I mean, I lost my father when I was 14, and I joked about it a lot. But it was serious.
Right.
But I think the healing, the natural process of humans is that you've healed if you actually laughed after the tragedy.
Right.
It's got to be within taste.
It's
of the
cathartic,
joke.
absolutely.
It's got to be within taste.
Sure. Yeah, and the taste is, variable. I mean, there's biker taste, and then there's
there's
elegant taste,
corporate taste. There's salesman taste, and then there's real comedy.
Yeah.
Real comedy is very tough.
Well, yeah, there's some guys that can really dish it out cold and hard. They really,
real comedy. I think maybe I'm wrong about this. I'm going to retract that. Please edit that out, because it depends. Comedy is so subjective that there's no such thing as real comedy. It is real to whoever's laughing at it. Right. I completely have got to straighten my ass out on that.
Well, but I'll also
It's made a huge error on this podcast. I don't know what's going to happen.
We need to go back 10 minutes, and you need to just change the 9/11 thing to something maybe.
I just started becoming someone I don't even know when I said that.
Serious.
It's sad.
Lou, what are you doing to him? He's going to become reasonable.
I do not want
3
that.
more hours of this, and he might actually almost be.
I almost changed myself midstream there. I almost went somewhere I didn't want to go. It's like I should have saw that coming. Well, I should have asked the Benny Gesserit if possibly.
You need to put the ring down. The ring are facts for you.
It's Dune. I was talking Dune now. I went to Dune. I wasn't talking. Have you seen Dune?
No.
What? You're a sci-fi guy. Yeah, I think you are. You're a fantasy guy. When you talk about all your fantasies that you've got, all your fantasies are journeys. But he's on a reality-based fantasy trip. Like, what's your latest movie, since you like movies, that you've watched that have able to make you escape reality? Hot Tub Time Machine?
That's great.
Has there been a recent? They're not making them, by the way, Lou. They're not making comedy right now. They're not making the comedy.
Right.
So it's hard to pick a current, something current.
It wouldn't be current.
Something that has taken you away enough where you almost forgot you were watching a movie. Hollywood Nights. Remember that movie? I forgot the comedian's name.
Yeah, for all the sophomoric fun that it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
And can you pull that off at this age?
Well, here. okay, now here's the shadow over everything.
Ooh, Mordor.
The wokeism that we experienced the last, several years. The introduction of the wokeism,
Right.
where if something offends anybody,
Right.
it's not okay.
Right.
Well,
And you're nice, and you're a nice person, so it probably bothers you if you say something.
I don't like to,
Like when you said you sold Pontiacs to Iranian students, I saw you glance at Donnie for a recognition of, please, is that funny?
Well, it was real. It's who they were.
I know, but you were worried.
They were here on a visa.
Were you worried that you said that?
No.
Don't be worried, Lou. You're a nice guy.
And
it's funny and it's relevant and has nothing to do with anything. That's what happened. This is what happened to almost everybody. They were told not to laugh.
Yeah. Well, sensitivity. See, I'm at a really interesting age. I mean, and the jobs and the things that I've done. I've been like a 3/4 time comedian I've always had some side hustle.
Right.
Okay. And a lot of it's been sales.
And do you think that was because comedy doesn't pay?
Of course, it's the only reason.
So that's the only reason. So I think we should make sure
never
everyone
not-
understands. You would have been full time if it paid.
Dude, I would never have sold Hurricane Window 1 if I'd been making enough money.
Does that take away from you? Like I said earlier, does that take a little piece of your flesh every time you have to fucking pitch a hurricane window? I'm serious.
It's funny.
It does.
I do have a moralistic part about that, though.
If we could get funding for Lou to live in this room and we feed him and we just let him do comedy, let him write the comedy, make videos, and whatever he needs, we give to Lou. He never has to sell another fucking window.
We're gonna
Do
start.
you think Lou would be the top comic in the country? Don't you understand that's what eats away at the comics? That we have to live and survive in this world.
Right.
We're the salt of the earth. There should have been a stipend for comics. Without comics, the rest of this fucking thing shuts down, Lou.
Right. Well, if you look at the kingdoms of the world, every time a kingdom was falling, the queen was dead, the king wasn't feeling good. The last guy to go was the jester.
The jester.
He was the last guy to go. He had to keep.
And how do you think the jester dealt with that by himself in his room?
Oh, dude,
I mean, because you have to humble yourself and you have to kind of be able to handle everyone else's grief along with your own. The crying clown is in his room, and he's got to go out and put on a show because the boss is upset, and he wants to make sure everybody's happy. But obviously, he's the most important person in the kingdom. So how does he handle it, Donnie? Right.
With his weave cape and his heavyweight belt, lightweight belt?
No,
Is
he's
what you're
got
describing
to have counsel. He's got to reach for the divine feminine in him to make him talk to himself like Smeagol trying to get Gollum off him. He's got to try to convince himself that he's good.
It's the precious laughs for you.
My precious.
You're on a totally solid beam.
We're all there because me and you know that. We both know that because I know exactly what you're going through because I go through it. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to do the other business.
Right.
We just want to be comics. And that's the problem with comics. That's not the problem of comics. Let me take that back. Retract that one too. It's the problem for comics. The problem for comics is that we can't get enough work without doing some type of hustle in this world today because there's a lot of jesters. There's more jesters than kings.
Yes. And with the advent of internet and there's just so many guys now. Yeah. And what happens to a lot of guys home when they're watching the internet and they're watching YouTube and this and that. Comics, and not that I like, there's a sadistic streak in me that there's people that think what we do is easy. Mm-hmm. And the reason is because we make it look easy.
Yeah.
And I had this guy, I met him, it was like a business contact. I never did business with the guy, but he found out I was a comic and he couldn't stop calling me.
Really?
All right. And I want to do this, I want to do that. I can do it. I'm this and I'm that. So I lined up an open mic set for him.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And he, this he's like getting 8x10s, never been on stage. He's getting 8x10s printed.
That's great.
Okay.
That's like some type of undercover boss shit.
Yeah. This guy, and I said, tell me a couple of your jokes. And they were hideous, horrible. Okay. I go, look, I said, you need to lighten it up a little bit. I go, you can't, I said, what you're doing is very brusque. It was
aggressive,
homophobic, and it was just
corporate humor,
rude. It was just rude.
Salesman humor,
truck driver humor.
Exactly. Okay. When men get together with their pack of men, humor.
Right. And he must, and he was one of. I think he was like a telemarketer. Okay, and he says, everybody tells you got me, I got the gift of gab, and you should be a stand-up comic. So anyway, this guy goes up and just slides down the steely pole of death for the 7 minutes that he was allotted, and he only did 5.
It's hard.
And I never heard from him again.
It's a hard gig.
Stand-up is really, really difficult.
It's a hard gig. And I've been told, because of my gift of gab, that I should be a telemarketer. But I went the other way.
Yeah, my good friend Bobby Taylor, who is both. Bobby is a great comic and one of the best telemarketers in the world.
There's a lot of funny people. Oh. I have to admit to that because, the world of the internet, yes, has opened, but it's also exposed. Every time I go to a new comedy scene, I go, holy shit, there's like 8 great comics in this room. There's not enough room for all of us.
Right.
Unfortunately, and for the older comics, you're not competing with your peers anymore.
Right.
You're competing with not the generation before you, but 3 generations before you now. So amazing to think that you could still be in it, still doing it is a feat on its own.
I'm at the 42-year mark.
Fuck, that's crazy, right? Impressive. Me too. I'm 37 years into it. That is not a simple feat to pull off. That's why I don't quit. Some of the reason I don't quit is this is what I got in my life. This is what I do. But I also like the idea that I have not quit, because I used to be a quitter.
Yeah.
From 0 to 5, I was such a fucking quitter.
Okay.
But I wanted to be in this business no matter what happened. But I need that money.
Right.
All right. How do you make that money? So every time I took something that was not pure comedy, it ate a little bit of Carmen comedy.
Right.
It just ate a little bit of me away.
Yeah.
I would be able to put gas in the car, but a little less funny doing it.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing to say, because there is no such thing as just being a comic.
There's a lot of guys like us that are illustrious third place finishers.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a ribbon.
Yeah.
But
then it's typical of my life.
Yeah. Me too.
I've never got an award
I'm Mr. Congeniality.
Yeah. I used to get most improved. That was it. I couldn't get most improved. Yeah.
But you're probably a lot like me. The alpha males are the ones that really soared ahead. The guys that really said, I can do this, I can command this, I can control this, I can make this happen. So you're kind of probably like me. You're a beta male with alpha tendencies.
Yeah.
You're like the best assistant manager.
A BMA.
Yeah. BMA?
Beta male alpha tendency. BMAT. BMA's.
BMAS.
BMAT.
Beta.
I do not give a shit about winning.
Right.
Is that crazy? If I play basketball with my friends and cousins and people who I did it to participate in the game because I want to hang out.
Right.
They were trying to kill each other and would argue over stupid shit.
Right.
And the whole time I just wanted to hang.
Right.
I was on the football team. I tell this story all the time on the podcast. I didn't even know how to play football. I never watched football.
Sure.
I wanted a jersey with my name on it, and I wanted to be on the bus with the guys to buzz balls and to have the cheerleaders and have the glory and have the spotlight, even if I never got on the field.
Right.
I like getting on the field,
Sure.
but I never ever cared about winning, and that's a problem when you're with a bunch of people who want to win.
Yeah.
Right.
When you're in a championship.
And it's like you can't compete against me because I want you to win too. You know?
Yeah, I don't want even in a fight, right?
I like to fight.
Like you hit me in the eye, but
We
go
should
ahead.
both do our best. Bam, bam.
I got into fights where I felt bad if I was winning a fight.
I like to fight until I can stop the fight.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're
You
really
don't-
coming
right,
at
so
me,
that you're thinking about that the whole time.
yeah, I got to run this guy into the wall. I'll knock him silly a little bit, and then I'll talk to him.
You ever see a fight, and I've only seen it on TV, because I thank God I haven't seen it in person, where a guy is getting his ass kicked, and then some guy kicks him in the fucking head afterwards because he's on the ground, right? You see
Yeah,
this shit now. I go,
sure.
that is pure evil.
Yeah,
I don't remember many fights. The ones I got into, my friends pushed me into,
right.
and they did it because according to these young people that I have on my pod, Donnie's what, 30?
32.
32. Right, he's 30 years younger than me.
Okay.
Mike Stevens was another one. He was younger than me. They would listen to me and say, you were bullied as a kid, right? I never thought about it like that. I just thought I was trying to fit in, but I was doing what everybody wanted me to do to fit in.
You're
Okay.
trying to fit in lockers and trash cans, according to your friends.
They never got their hands on me. That's one thing I would never allow. But if they wanted me to entertain them,
Slippery.
I would do shit, right?
Yeah.
Like I would get into that fight. Like I was not interested in fighting, but if they wanted me to fight somebody, I couldn't say no to my friends. And then in the fight, I remembered the one, and I wasn't a fighter, I was a wrestler. I got the kid down. He hit me in the eye, but I got him down, and I was like, is it over? Because in wrestling, once you take them down,
1, 2, 3.
it's
All
over,
this
right?
is
Did I
done.
win? Can we go? Can we go to the football game tonight? I just want to go to a football game. Can I get in the back of Frankie's brand new 76 Cougar and now be announced as a winner? It was all about the attention.
Yeah.
It was not about the fight. I don't want to fight. I didn't want to, unless someone, and I thought about this, would I come after somebody? I didn't have that in me until I had children.
Right. Well, that changes everything.
And that was different. But the idea that I look back at yearbooks. I've kept every yearbook, and I read them religiously every night. What people said about me in 8th grade. You're so funny, over and over and over, which I don't remember being so funny.
Don't ever change.
But there it is, Donnie. They wrote it, and I call those people. I go, remember me? You said I was so funny. Am I still?
That's what I did with my life.
Hey, I just released a new video last week. I needed you to check
I
it out.
need you to watch it. Please tell me.
Well, you know what's we have the adaptability of when
I could be a dick, by the way.
sure
Okay.
Who
Just
cares?
want to put that in there.
Don't you be afraid of me.
Free to be a dick.
when you there's a great analogy. They talk about it like in business training. I've seen it a couple times.
Yeah.
They say, okay, there's a 100-story building, and there's a thin plank that goes from one building to the other.
Right.
Okay, and there's 50-mile-an-hour winds.
Mm-hmm.
How much money do you need to walk across that plank?
Right.
Okay, and people go, and they give you some numbers: 50
Right.
grand, 100 grand, $1 million, whatever.
Right.
And a lot of people say, I wouldn't challenge.
Wouldn't do
I
it.
wouldn't, chance my life over that. And they go, okay, now there's a bad guy on the other side, and he's holding one of your children. And unless you go across that board, he's going to drop your child.
These motivational speakers really think they got you by the balls, don't they?
But, okay, now your perspective has changed completely. Okay, now you take on almost like a completely different
Mode.
and because like
And I'm pissed off now at the motivational speaker
you're,
for making me think about this.
yeah, well he that's what they do though. But you see, in that turning over, okay, like Ayn Rand, when Atlas Shrugged, when you start to really get what
Right.
that was, you're
Right.
going, oh, I get upset every time I read that or listen to it. You know, I when I see all the indicators of who I am in those scenarios.
In the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Are you a railroad magnate, steel guy, gas guy? Are you the media? Are you John Galt? Who are you?
I'm not John Galt, but
Where are you in the spectrum of society?
probably the media guy more than anything else.
You want to comment on someone else's
I comment,
achievement,
Well, I comment for
humor purposes?
humorous purposes, so the good side is also told.
So you want to be a voice? You know, they say the voice. Look, we're not doers then, right? We're not doers. I'm not a doer.
Right.
I don't build nothing.
Right.
I comment on other people's. I'm an analyst.
Right.
I'm an observer.
Sure.
If there's nothing to observe, I'm done.
Color commentator.
I need you to do all the work so I can comment on it.
Right.
I need you to walk by me in the mall while I'm sitting there so I have something to think about and say about you.
Yeah.
I need you, and most of the time I need you to do something in a way that there's some humor about it. I can't have you walk perfectly in front of me. You need to trip. You need to walk in a weird way like you're the king of the mall. You need to have a dog with you with a leash that's 20 foot and you're tripping other people. I need some shit so I can go on and talk about this, right?
Right.
I need the architecture to either look like shit or look really good
Right.
because that's what we do.
Right. And as we've all discovered, people laugh when logic is skewed. Okay? And what we do is we can discover the skewing of logic.
Yeah.
Okay? And then we can point it out.
But not the hypocrisy. Because hypocrisy is not fun.
That's
right?
not subverting. That's just denying. It's just saying the opposite of.
Yeah.
Which isn't
But there's logic
necessarily-
to it. You have to know logic to get to the hypocrisy. If someone says something to you, you have to know how to understand it both ways so you can figure out if that person is being a hypocrite about what they're saying. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You have to have
do
logic.
that, to do that purposefully, yes.
I think that's why comics were the geniuses. Did you hear that, people? The comedians are the geniuses. Although there's a lot of people who do it, they're not necessarily stand-ups. Lawyers are really good at this shit too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lawyers are really. I meet a lot of lawyers. I go, this guy could be on a stand-up for sure.
Sure.
I was supposed to be a lawyer because my dad was a lawyer,
Yeah.
and I don't think that was a purposeful thing that I was taught any type of analyzation or observation. I don't even know where that comes from, except when you need. I think when you need a lot. When you need things, you're looking and trying and figuring it out. When you're like, if you're raised without need, without too much need, there's no reason to be too observational.
Right.
If you're already getting everything you want, say, and I have family and friends like this. If you're already built, if you have good hair, if you are a good-looking person, if you're tall enough as a child, and your dad has money, and your parents are together, and you have a ride to school, and you're first string on the football team, there's no fucking reason to observe anything else.
Right.
Shit's coming your way.
Sure. Well, there's an energy flow that a lot of people are just privileged to have. And then, but I've also known guys that are all those things and still unhappy.
Now, but what about then?
Even then.
Even then they were still
Even
unhappy?
then. Sure. But in those people, I've also known, as I've watched them grow up.
You're wishing for their demise.
Well, I didn't necessarily see. They had the.
Did you see Frankie's hairline? It's starting to really go. Finally, he's 52. He's finally losing a little hair.
Looks like a child forever.
That's an evil part of all that. You have to look at all those people, and you have to wish them well still.
Yes.
I hope I taught you something, Lou.
A lot so far. So.
Donnie's just looking at you like, is he true? Is he real? Do you believe in that shit?
I mean, I would hope after all the time that I've heard Lou, like you've always been weirdly inspirational. You look like you're going to ride in on an electric Harley. Like you're environmentally friendly, but still a badass.
That's very funny.
That's pretty good.
It's a great analogy.
You should make a poster like that for all your bits.
My electric
Every time,
Harley.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, we're doing a grill.
It's got a cord on it though, because you're a comedian.
Get your Harley
so
charging.
you can only go as far as your cord though.
But the electric Harley is a great analogy because a gas Harley will take you as far as the gas, and gas is readily available. But the electric part of it seems to add a condition that you're not going.
We're just using this in town.
Right. You're a badass within a certain radius.
I just take it from here to the beach. It's why I live in Florida. If I were anywhere else, never make it to water.
I am the king of the scooters.
You've got a whole grill just in the back, and you're like, hey, I've got kosher and vegan options back here. Everyone's welcome. Everyone's welcome. The year is 2025.
Kosher and vegan options.
Oh yeah, you could have marketed yourself so many different ways within your identity that I think still to this day you still could do all this. I still see this in you.
Yeah, and a lot of guys,
It's the effort, right, Lou?
Speaking of Frank Lloyd Wright, he didn't build his greatest stuff till he was in his 70s.
I know.
And,
Well, that's the problem, though, isn't it?
You know what it is too. I've never really even sought happiness. Okay, I've sought sprints of joy, but the overall tone of my efforts have been to be content. I just wanted to be content with little peaks of happiness.
The zen of comedy.
Just be content.
How do you pull that off?
Shit's gonna go bad in front of you, behind you.
You've tried to seek content.
Content. I just want to be
for
content.
how long? How long has this been
Every
going on?
day. I
No,
be
I mean
content every
since
day.
what age? After 5, I'm imagining.
Oh, this didn't happen till.
I'm stuck on this.
I got stuck, in the pinball machine like everybody else, going, how come that didn't happen for me? How come that didn't happen for me?
Okay.
I went through it,
Right.
And then I realized the banality of all of it, and I go, that's not really who you are anyway. It's been like this inner search my whole life, and stand-up has given me. See, my perspective on it anymore is I do okay. I do a lot of privates. I do a lot of country clubs. I do a lot of RV resorts, and they're the nicest audiences.
Right.
They're just fabulous. And when I come away from that, I get paid, which I enjoy. Okay, but I also made a couple hundred people laugh and forget about their issues for the 45 minutes I had or 50 minutes I had. And that, to me, brings this wonderful, calming level of content. Mm-hmm. I just, I bow my head every time I take a compliment. Oh, you were so funny. Thank you. And it was my best effort to create that kind of energy in the room. Okay, and then in my drive home, sometimes I'll just put on my favorite tunes and just laugh to myself. I had a freaking great time.
And that's what it should be. If you can pull that off.
There's no highs, there's no lows. There's this wonderful, there's some lows still. You can't help not notice them.
It's like you're microdosing the comedy.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You've figured it out. It's not a strain. This is a different strain of comedy than the old days.
Right. Oh yeah. Well, especially like with the Kill Tony and stuff like that that's out there now. See, that's a different tone.
You don't think you could handle Kill Tony if you did it?
I have no interest in it
because you don't like the show.
I don't like the show.
You don't like the concept, the
I don't
comics.
like the concept. I don't like the idea. I don't think you're funny in a minute.
It's a weird concept.
Did you know Jimmy Wiggins?
From Chicago?
Yeah,
yes.
The last hippie in America.
I worked with him once, I think.
That dude taught me, I worked with him probably a dozen times in my life, but he taught me such a wonderful mellow. He's going, and like we'd go up and I'd have an okay set. I always rate him on a scale of 10. I'd have a 6.
Yeah.
I go, man, that was only a 6. He goes, but a 6 is better than a 4. And that was the guy.
You think it was the whiskey?
He had a little whiskey, yeah, he had a little whiskey. Les McCurdy, another guy, constantly encouraging.
Very calming.
Les
is like one of the nicest club owners.
He's one of the nicest humans I know.
You know,
He really is, beyond the entertainment industry.
I've only had outside contact with him from the club, a little bit. You know, I went to his house one time, which was very nice. They invited us over. Yeah. And and even Shoemaker, I hate to tell you, I know you're not working with him anymore, but he laughed. Some of the club owners, they laughed.
I like Shoe. I just don't like working for him.
No, I understand. I'm just saying, like, there's a different game, right? Is that bookers in general? Yeah, very tough people to deal with. But some of them were fun. They laughed.
But there was great people out there that you could work with and book, and everything was kind of copacetic. You know?
Yeah, if you did what they wanted you to do. Sure. As soon as you said no to something.
Yeah,
is that a great person, Lou? I mean, I think a great person is someone who can bend a little bit when a comic cancels at the last minute because he's too fucked up. He can't do the show. That's a great booker.
Or he got a better gig. That's the part they don't like is when you.
I don't blame bookers at all. Bookers have such. I mean, I booked enough stuff, and to know how many people want to get into your club and call you and send you videos, and just that side of it, just all that insanity. Yeah. Right. And there's no way, as a comic and trying to book something at the same time, it's just too much. So if you're doing it right, that's their process. You got to follow their process, just like I demand my process on stage. This is what I do. Right. Don't tell me how to do my show. I won't tell you how to book the club. If we got that.
I'll tell you one of the things that in all these years I've been doing it, and I've had, I'm a serial monogamist. I've had a bunch of girlfriends. And the girl the girlfriends that I like the most.
Never married.
I'm married twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a 25-year-old son.
There's something else in there. Serial monogamous with benefits. How does that work?
Just one long-term relationship into another. Some included, matrimony, and one included.
I see. They're always with the same girl, but different levels of commitment.
They're all wonderful, and then there's only like two of them that make me shudder.
Right.
But the ones I really enjoyed hanging out with the most were the ones that were like kind of like secretaries a little bit. Yeah. They caught the concept of what I was doing, and in their
they wrote it down.
They wrote it, and they offered, help or whatever.
Got your coffee.
Whether their joke fixing was good or not, or what, that didn't matter.
They were your shield.
Yeah, and also keeping me organized, because this is not an organized mess up here.
I love a chick like that. When someone comes to visit and she says, "Mr. Angelwolf is not available right now," and that's
sure.
That's a hot chick to be with.
Sure,
you know what
I mean, and just having those organizational skills, because like I said, that's probably been my worst thing, was my lack of organizational skills, because we're always on the move, man. We're going. I've lived in, 15 different houses in the last 30 years.
See, I'm a little different than you. I mean, I'm a monogamist also, but I'm also environmentally friendly with my relationships. Right. Like, I've been with one woman, and I've used her over and over and over for almost 34 years.
Right.
35 years.
Damn.
No, more than that. 37 years. 37. I've been with her since 87.
There you go.
So you see, it's almost like it's the same woman over and over and over, right?
What are you getting at here?
It's environmentally friendly.
Well, that's
being very conservative with it,
and that's a beautiful thing. That's that's the biggest blessing.
Let me tell you something. It ain't beautiful. Because of me, she's the one that put up with all this shit that I brought into this. She was going to have a great life.
Right.
She just happened to want to choose a little chaos.
Right. Sure. Keep it interesting.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. And, after 37 years, yes, she's been with me since almost day one of the comedy scene, too. So she's been through the comedy mill. She knows everyone in the business. She could do my act. Right. She knows when I didn't do my act. Right. There's a whole thing to that. that relationship between me and her, I don't think I would have stayed in comedy.
Right.
I don't think so.
Right.
Because my confidence level in it started dying 10 years into it, about 1997. I was like, this is bullshit, right? I'm done with the road. I'm done with not making any money. And if I was just married and the idea of just raising children, not trying to also have a career, I would have got a different job.
Sure.
You know, and I panicked in 97. I panicked. I was like, I don't have enough money. I got 2 kids. My wife is still having to work to take care of the family. We don't have a house that we want. And I just saw everybody else. You know, this is what you see. You see all the other kings, right? I'm the jester, but you see the kings driving their new 1997, whatever they had at that time that I was impressed with. Whatever car that's gone now, that doesn't even exist anymore. That's what I wanted. They had 2 cars like that, and they lived in a nice little house. Me, I'm in the yard recycling rocks. Instead of going buying rock at Home Depot, I would dig up the old rocks, clean out the soil, anything I could do to survive.
Right.
Go to garage sales, resell.
Sure.
And I was getting a little concerned.
Yes, but those tokens of success, okay, they're all, you know, a lot of people call those trappings, okay, because they are.
How do people not fall into it? Like Donny hasn't fallen into it.
I mean, I got a way out of it, and
But you're not a trap person. You
well,
like
I used to be. I used to be,
you were?
and then a truck solved that for me.
I know you got hit by a truck.
Oh yeah.
That's a different game.
I mean, it's fine.
Before the truck, you were someone who was interested in the finer things of life? Were you worried about getting ahead? Were you worrying about becoming someone?
I was worried about managing. I was worried about being a good provider more than I was worried about working on like who I am as a person.
Yeah. But I think it's also within your age group. I see a lot of kids who have more of guidance when it comes to what they're going to do for a living, who they're going to work for.
Yeah.
Maybe not being as consumerist as everyone else was.
Right.
My daughters are like that. They like to repurpose, or they don't like to go to, you know, sometimes they go to the stores, but they like to buy thrifting things. And
Well, that's also a
it's
social
just-
awareness.
Yeah, this
that
whole thing
kinda
is
newer.
different. It's
newer.
different, right?
Yeah.
But there's got to be a couple out there that are rebels
Sure.
at the mall,
Yeah.
going to Lululemon, blowing their check, big credit card bills.
I think we're gonna have to wrap this up soon.
Are we?
Well, we're at 90, technically 95 minutes.
Okay, we got to go. We got to go.
Well,
It's time to end this pod, Lou.
this has been a lot of fun.
I appreciate it. It's supposed to be fun, right
I
there.
don't think
Yeah.
we got it to a fully definitive subtitle,
We never do.
but
One of the last like 2-3 pods ago was gonna be shampoo piss bottle. So like we'll just
Shampoo piss bottles.
that's fun.
I can't put it on YouTube, but
It's-
that's what it is in my computer.
It basically, this is stream of conscious. It is all about me trying it's not that hard to do. It is hard to do because you can easily slip back into being too serious all the time.
Right. But if I can have a closing moment,
Oh, God. Okay.
the stand-up comedy has been just the biggest blessing in my life. I never got rich. I never got famous. I never, I've always, like I said, I've always been Mr. Congeniality.
Yeah.
Okay. But what it has done for me, my inner core of what I truly believe is important is being kind to people and loving on other people, acknowledging your creator, and all that sweet energy that goes with someone that's in love with their existence. That industry gave me that ability to share that with thousands and thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
Live. I got to touch them, see them, shake hands with them,
Yeah.
hug them, look in their eyes. And a lot of times, you were the person, you don't even know. You were the person that nudged them just that little bit. And to me, I love those kind of mysteries. And if somebody was looking for some comic relief and they came to one of my shows and they really enjoyed it, I'm paid in full, dude. I'm paid in full. And finding an avenue to release your innermost, your deepest intent was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That's why people drink too much. That's why they do drugs too much. That's why they that's why they do pornography. That's why they do all these things, because they've not found that thing about themselves yet.
I have not tried pornography. I wonder what that would do for me, if that would open me up at all.
I've never seen really more than 7 minutes of one.
Right. I've never even heard the word.
But
that, in public.
And in that confession, you got another quarter. You got to be old to know that. You got another quarter.
My college roommate ran one of those places.
Yeah.
Back in college, I never went to it, and I didn't even know he was doing that.
Right.
But I thought at that time it was all hidden.
Yeah.
This is another pod. We can talk for another half hour about my roommate's.
I mean, if you want, I
job.
can just make sure that you guys have enough
No,
memory.
I'm kidding. Look, I'm kidding. This is what happens every pod. At the end,
does.
we start getting on other topics.
does, and it's
I
the
interrupted Lou's soliloquy. Is that the right word?
So I brought up pornography.
Is that
No.
I know. Well, yes. When you start, look, I was on board with you, man.
Yeah.
And then you said pornography, and I went right away to
You know what his 0 through 5 was. You know what it was.
Playboy magazines.
She's taking her diaper off.
The whole thing is, yes, I believe exactly what you're saying, because I don't know. I believe that people want what you're saying in general.
How could you find? Yeah. How could I have possibly found more content?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like, we think that maybe it's stand-up comedy is the only way to do that. But then I kind of talk to a lot of people, and
There's other stuff, for sure.
Yeah, right. There's so many different things that I'm pretty sure that if I would have been those other things,
Right.
I can't think of one off the top of my head, but even something simple, as long as it's around people.
Right.
If it was, I was isolated. I used to work in jobs where I was isolated, away from people, doing menial tasks, but with people.
Yeah.
That's why I said I just wanted to be on the football team, not to win. I just wanted to play basketball with my friends.
But you didn't want to be the water boy either.
No, I wanted to be participating in it, and I don't think you could have, because they would have viewed you differently if you were the water boy.
Right. It's a completely different.
You're not
role.
one of them then. I want to still be one of you.
Yeah, exactly.
In your game.
We were all one of us.
I think that's why I got into stand-up.
Yeah.
Eddie Murphy, Kinnison, Pryor,
Yeah.
Steve Martin, that gang of people. When they came on live TV, when you were watching Carson or Letterman, and you saw Letterman, oh my God, when you saw that group, and how can I be in that group? How can I get on that team?
Sure.
Well, you have to start off this way. I'm still trying to get on the team, Lou.
Yeah. Well.
I have you.
Yeah, well.
I got all my friends in comedy.
Dude, you're my starter.
You know what I mean?
You're my starting
Right.
QB.
Right. So let's announce the names coming in from the locker room. Then we'll do our thing. And one of the most best times I ever had with comics is with you and a bunch of comics down in West Palm Beach at the Comedy Corner.
Oh.
When we all went to breakfast that one morning before some type of it was like not the World Series of Comedy. I think it was for the Colorado Comedy Contest. Vail,
Something, yeah.
one of those, and we were all there, and we all went to breakfast, and it never fucking happened again.
Sad.
Because comics don't do that shit.
Oh,
That's the problem. We never got together again. We talked about it, and I don't see my friends as much as I want to in comedy.
Well, the internet's good like that. I still stay in touch with so many. Doug Doan may be coming back.
I don't even. Yeah, that name's so familiar.
He's great. And
But the point is, to me, that's why I like this podcast now. I thought of you almost immediately. I wanted you to come down, and I think this is now my new way of reconnecting with all my friends in comedy.
Yeah, absolutely. And
So-
you mentioned Steve Martin, and that's the reason I got into stand-up. In 1977, he wrote a little short book called Cruel Shoes, which was 1- and 2-page stories. And I would sit around with my friends okay, that weren't comedians. Okay, they were just people I worked with and stuff like that. And we'd all smoke weed or drink beers, whatever we were doing to relax from the week. And I would read out loud from Steve Martin's Cruel Shoes. And it's absolutely some of the most hilarious 1 and 2 page short stories. They're great. Totally creative.
I'm going to have to look at that. I don't think I ever looked at that.
It's fabulous. And to close tonight, I'm going to use a Steve Martin line out of one of his shows. He said, "And I get paid for doing this."
All right. Well, Lou, thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks for being on, Lou.
Thank you.
We'll see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.